Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 169. That doesn't make sense. You're not. This is the first time you're hearing about this episode. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to the Winners and Losers show on all the podcast apps, as well as on YouTube, the #1 app, where you can see my face. If you're an audio listener, head over to YouTube and look at my face and subscribe and like and click on all the buttons and stuff. It's me, Hank. Welcome. Hi, everybody. This light's driving me crazy already, but I'm going to try to push through. I'm going to probably need to put my hat on. It's really distracting. There goes the autism. Welcome. We've got a bunch of stories today. I've been busy as all shit. I'm actually having a couple of fairly productive days here. Weird last week. I got so I hit a bad anxiety spell, like one of those, like and I'm ashamed to say this, but I had to lay down. I had to stop and just get into bed. And after about 3 hours, I did sleep, and it's the middle of the day, and it's like, this is not fucking good. I can't be spending time doing that. I got so desperate, I worked out. I got up and I exercised. It's very out of character for me. Normally, I just wallow in it, or I'll get up sometimes. It's not always. But yeah, I got up and I went and worked out, and I was like, oh, that worked. That helped. That worked out. That worked pretty well. So what have I been doing since? Exercising. I'm starting to exercise. I think I finally hit one of those motivation turning pivot points where I'm like, you know what? I don't like feeling this way all the time. I'm a little embarrassed by how I look. I got to get thin because my beard is falling out, and I don't look good without a beard. I'm a good beard face, bad no beard face. And now that the option of having a beard is slowly being erased from my option list, I'm going to have to be extra bald. That's an old joke I used to do in comedy about bald guys with beards. So yeah, I don't want to be double chin guy all the time because I have shitty skin. My skin's not like real tight. So I'm a good double chin model. So unless there's opportunities for that, but I can just get thin. And yes, this is incredibly vain and reflects a lifetime of low self-esteem, which I'm working on. Okay. I'm not just going to own it. I'm not going to fake that. This is incredibly distressing to have your beard falling out. It looks horrible. It really looks terrible. People are looking at me outdoors when I go outside. I see people's face. Like, you can tell when someone kind of catches you, when you can tell their focus goes, and you're like, God, look at that fucking guy. I guess what's most embarrassing is, do they think it's on purpose? Are they like, that's an odd style choice to have a gigantic empty patch? And I know I should have shaved it off years ago, or like a year ago when it was probably made sense, or even almost like right away when I started losing the big patch right here. So enough about that. That's not what you're tuned in for. Okay, I got to get the hat on. I can't. I just want to turn the light off. But I've got like a reflective white thingy that bounces this light, and the hat does kind of block that. So good, we're back. Here we go. Yeah, Ben, this is how the show works for new people. And actually, I should do the personal rambling at the end. And I'm trying to get through it. That's also terrible podcasting. But after the personal rambling is over, we've got a bunch of stories. I got Rudy Giuliani to talk about. Something came over the transom today. He's being sued, and there's a whole bunch of pervy details. And I know my audience loves pervy details. All right? Okay? Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching me. Right? Oh, God, I'm taking my head off. Put my fuck. God damn it. Now I got thumb. I just washed my glasses. Sorry, everybody. I just put my hand on the inside of my glasses trying to grab my hat. That's fine. I'm like, if Mr. Bean was incredibly uncreative, that would be like an entire episode. If the British people ever would give me a TV show, which they won't. Especially not after last week's. I upset somebody on maybe upset's too much, but I somebody wrote a comment on a YouTube video because I called Winston Churchill a racist, and he's like, "Yeah, it's real great coming from an American that he's a racist. Who are you?" Yeah, America is synonymous with racism. That's our core function is racism. That's our root code. We are based on that. We are based on oppression, racial division. And let's not forget the gender stuff and the straight up ignorance that seems to float our balloon into the sky straight towards the sun, where we're all going to die and crash. Suddenly I'm picturing the Adventures of Baron Munchausen. That's a movie that really lit the imagination fires in many young people when I was a young person. That was fun. Okay. Landing in a volcano and dying based on racism. That made no sense. Where are we? Oh, we gotta feed the shrimp real quick because none of them are showing up to work. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. Come on, motherfuckers. Pieces of shit. Eat. Get on camera. Fucking employees. All right, we're back. I love them. We're family. We're like family. We have a pizza party like every 9 months because sometimes they start talking about unionizing. And I'm like, oh, hold on. We're gonna get some pizza. We're gonna get some pizza in this bitch to fend off them asking for their shrimply rights. Okay. What do we got? We got Rudy Giuliani being a perv. Always, everybody loves that. Allegedly, the trial hasn't happened yet. We got Dianne Feinstein finally back. I had teased that I was going to talk about her a couple episodes back, and we've got some new updates about her. So that's great. She made the journey. She forded some rivers and crossed the country finally, surviving on moose and squirrels and bison and trading for supplies along the way. That's see, if I do a joke on this show that started out as a tweet, I'm overcome with the rush of inauthenticity, that kind of thing. I go, oh, Hank, what do you do? And then, but that's also what comedy is. It's okay to repurpose a line. Like when I did stand up, I would do my jokes. I didn't just make up new material. That was fine. I didn't beat myself up about that. However, it is fun to imagine them fording Dianne Feinstein onto kind of on a weird low res Conestoga wagon, trying to get her across the country, so that we can all benefit from her wisdom. The kind of wisdom that comes when your brain starts melting. And yes, I am going to defend ageism, but for politicians only. Okay. Although I could probably come up with some other micro scenarios. However, ageism's just really shitty. We wouldn't be talking about this lady if she wasn't still one of the 100 most powerful humans on the planet. Obviously, you could parse that out. I don't think all the senators, but I'm just saying that's like an insanely important job to put someone in her condition in. Okay, but we'll get to that part later on. George R.R. Martin's making an appearance, friend of the show. We all love him. There's some news about the new show, the Dunk and Eggs show, Hedge Night it's called. And I think that's all we got. Oh, yeah, and I'm going to talk about Trump on CNN. How fucking boring is it that I've decided to do that? I don't really have a lot to say, so hopefully we'll get through that part quickly. There's some videos and there's some bullshit and a couple articles. So yeah, been feeling the exercise kicking in though. I can tell, like, I can feel the little bit of soreness in my legs. I've been walking up this hill near my house, doing some stuff at home. I have a hot body in me somewhere. I have like an athlete build. But right now I have a very depressed athlete build, a guy who got cut early and just ate his feelings. And so I'm going to work on that, get my tits back up, get my nips going forward like a headlight, like they're supposed to. And everything will get better. And especially though, the one thing is like your mental faculty, your mental sustainable. Like I still can kind of think in the other states, but I notice how much less energy I have when I'm not working out, when I'm not actually getting up and getting a little sweat going. And I'm not like pumping it hard at the gym. Okay. I'm not one of these. I'm a little bit afraid of gyms. I feel like the last thing I want to do is be some background schlub in some hot guys or hot girls video. And I know there's a whole thing in gyms. I was reading about it. I Googled, are there gyms that ban filming? Like, isn't there like adult hour, like no filming hour at the gym? Do we all want to be in your goddamn video? There's content creators and influencers at the gyms filming themselves. And I'm sure here in LA, I'm sure that's like every half the people here are doing that, because who wants a regular fucking job? Are you kidding me? But there's also good reasons for people to film themselves who take their form really seriously. I could probably roll my eyes, but that's actually kind of reasonable. I don't think it'd be fair to say you shouldn't be able to film that, but you're also kind of violating other people at the gym who don't want to be filmed. I know there are rules about public filming and stuff like that, but gyms are private. The point is, you got to be rich. You got to have your own space, your own room with a gym. And you don't even need to be super rich for that. Honestly, you can probably get some houses or have an extra room, put some weight equipment in it. And that's what I would consider rich. If I had a bedroom that had just like a Bowflex, and so I could go in there and I could flex and some other stuff. I got some weights in here too. I would consider that I'd made it. I really would. So yeah, 169 here, the episode. I finally got clips edited from the last one, the coronation, because you know you got to stay on top of stuff by doing a podcast about something 4 days late, and then doing the clips about it 7 days later. That's how you really keep up on that algorithm stuff. So those I'm going to be publishing those first on the channel. But the channel's growing. I actually gotten some new subscribers from those videos, and also some dull comments, which are a sign that you're growing. You know, it's just it on the internet. If things are actually starting to work a little bit, you're going to get morons with keyboards. You know, and it doesn't always. I'm a moron with the keyboard too. I'm not trying to judge anybody, but you know, I'm hoping people who get my moronism come on board with me. The people that like this stuff, God bless your hearts and your fingers. But not everybody's going to do that, and that's fine. I'm just going to have to roll with that. I do get nervous about YouTube comments. I get in my head about it. In fact, this is going to be our first thing. I was on Twitter. I wrote about this on my podcast or on my Patreon, by the way, patreon.com/winners and losers. Let's get it up. We're at $20. Let's get it up to 24. Okay, come on, someone. 25. One $5. Can I get a sale? Can I get a sale? Okay, somebody. We will. I'm trying to not be mad at myself for trying to ask people for money. This shit does take lots of hours. If you tip your bartender $1 for a beer for opening a lid off of a bottle, this takes me like several hours, multiple hours just to produce. So throw me $1 or $2 if you can. All right, there you go. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm desperate. So anyway, a guy I follow on Twitter named Mike Drucker. I think he's the head writer of Samantha Bee. He's a bald video game nerd who wears glasses. And actually, who the hell says it like that? Actually, I've known Mike. I mean, I've never met him in person, but I've known of Mike on online a bunch. He's a smart guy. He has like 200,000 Twitter followers. Such and such. So far better career. He's way too depressed than he needs to be. I should be depressed. This guy's got like a whole damn thing going on. Not that I'm trying to speak for him. He'd be a great guest is what I'm saying. Well, I'd like to have him on. But he tweeted a Zelda commercial and said it'd be great if somebody put the Donnie Darko, transitioned it over, good. The Donnie Darko song, The Mad World by Gary Jules. And I had Premiere open. Actually, I should have done it in DaVinci, but I was making an animation in Premiere. Just because, yeah, whatever. I don't need to explain that. But so I was like, you know what? I'll do it. What the fuck? It's just downloading a couple of clips and just swapping out the audio. And I had to do a little bit of it lining up and posted it and said, here you go. And boy, have I been getting my social media dopamine button pressed these last several days. It didn't click right away. And of course, immediately within a minute or two, I'm like, oh no, now no one's going to see it. I'm not going to get all the validation I desperately need and the retweets and the likes, whatever the fuck. But then it came about. It started, it was like 5 or 10 minutes. Like, Jesus, be patient, moron. And Mike Drucker tweeted like, I love this. It's a great. So, but he didn't say it like that. But for the last like 5 or 6 days, it's been nothing but a little blue notification on my Twitter. And I'm a happy boy when I see that. Honestly, it's a little annoying. I feel the pull. I hate that pull. I really resent the way that they get us with those little notification things. We're such a goddamn like Pavlovian, or I don't know what the right proper word is precisely, but we're such a like I got this cat. All right. I got to get rid of this fucking cat. I love her to death. She's honestly the sweetest cat. I have the world's most adorable problem, but I don't want a cat. It makes it really hard for me to focus on all this crap because I'm always thinking about whether I'm letting the cat down. And then she also sometimes just meows at me and it's distracting and she wants to play. She's snoozing right now. Although I do kind of hope she climbs up on top of the bar flans back there because that's good for the video. But she has these instincts that need satisfying, and human beings are just like, I can trick her. I can pull the towel along the ground and she goes, and her brain is thinking, mouse, food, mouse, lizard, wounded bird. I'm trying to think of like things cats can get their paws on. Domestic cats kill trillions of birds every year in the United States. Okay, wake up. And a towel she's on. We play with this towel. Like she likes to climb on the towel. It's kind of like the thing. I reset it a lot, because she scrunches it up with this little wooden ball. It's very cute. Honestly, somebody in LA, adopt this fucking cat from me, please. If you're a real person, none of this bullshit weirdos, okay? I'm going to make sure. I'm not just going to give the cat away to anybody, but like, fuck. And give me money for it. I've spent $1,000 of someone else's money, and much of that mine too, and I don't have any income. I gotta have $20 on Patreon in like a week or two or something, and that's my income for the year so far. So somebody take this cat off my hands. I love her to death. You'll see me cry. I will absolutely cry when I get rid of the cat. I know that for a fact. But her instincts need the thing to move around, and then she goes mouse, squirrel, bug, cat, small wounded muskrat, whatever she can eat. And she loves it, and she feels good. And we're just like humans. We're just like that with a little notification thing. Like they got us. They got us by the instincts, They got us by the instincts. So why am I rambling? I have this is going to be like a 9-hour podcast as it is. I don't think I'm even going to get to all these stories. Well, oh yeah. So because of this Zelda thing, I've gotten to enjoy what it feels like to be like a celeb, Ted Danson. I get to feel it. I get to enjoy the dancing for a little while. And I want you to see my thumbnail. This is me here, right? Look at that Photoshop, huh? It's actually just kind of lucky that the lighting angle on the Frank, the evil rabbit from Donnie Darko, is kind of from its left. I could have tuned that up a little bit, but it sort of works fairly well. It's a little bit out of key in terms of lighting, but yeah, I found the same spot that the guy was in up here. Did that in Photoshop. So let's watch it. I might cut this out. Hold on. I might cut this out of the podcast. I'm going to need to put on my headphones for this. I might cut this out of the audio podcast, but maybe I'll just make this a separate video. Who knows? Who knows? If you're a regular listener, you've learned to expect the unexpected, okay? I'm like Mason Kane and Nadia Sin with an H on the end. And if you know who those two are, then you and I have a lot to talk about. Okay, we'll get back to that later. I'm referencing Citadel, a show on a computer. So this is the Mad World version. There's a famous Gears of War video that had like 16 million views or some shit like years ago. So I would be unbelievable. I was not sure. I figured someone would just take it off Twitter and then they would get the 16 million views. But as you can see on screen, I've gotten what is it? 12,000 views in 5 days. And for a channel that gets like 20 or 30 maybe per big podcast or even less. Actually, some of the other videos have gotten like 50 or 60. The thing is that like I just got to keep putting shit out. And slowly the algorithm will start feeding it a little bit better. And that doesn't necessarily mean people are going to like me. But like you can't just be like, it's not doing well. I'm not doing it, because you really got to be consistent. And two or 3 weeks of this is not enough. So I'm seeing a little movement and a little growth, and I'm thrilled at that. Just seeing some movement at all. I just want Frankenstein's toes to move a little bit, I don't know why I'm making that noise. The toes, his toes would sound like, right? So let's play it. You'll see why it's so brilliant. And then this is the thing I was saying. I get weird in my head about comments. It messes with me. I don't know what it is. I can take a lot of abuse. I abuse myself constantly. Nobody will ever hate me as much as I do. But somehow I also be like, I can't read them. I just can't do it. Not that I sit around laying, I don't, it's not like I'm torturing myself with it. But I thought since I'm making this right now, I was just going to talk about it. But I said, we'll play it and then we'll read the comments. Play. So just real quick. This is audio from the actual show. And by the way, I need to turn the settings up here. What's on 360p? We're going to start over. But this first audio you'll hear is actually from the video. And then I fade that down. And then you just hear the mad song. But I crossfade it over. And the original has like the guy making noises. And like there's more of a thing. Yeah, so many nice comments on Twitter. Like 2,000 likes and lots of really... interesting things. People say this is perfect, this is better than the original, so we'll see what they say on YouTube. I'm hoping some people like it, and some of them have been subscribing, because now we're at 108 subscribers. Fuck yeah, man. And welcome. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I really, if out of that 12,000, maybe a few people will dig this lefty rambling bullshit and some of the gaming stuff, maybe. I'm Hank Thompson. I've been a comedian. All right. So hold on. My fucking thing keeps. So here we go.
Worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Children waiting for the day they feel good. Happy birthday, happy birthday. And to feel the way that every child should sit and listen, sit and listen.
Hell yeah. That's what it's all about. First of all, I love that people are taking public transportation. That's really cool. And he should be doing that. We all should be. We should have much more bus and train access. Come on, America, get it together. Enough with this car supremacy nonsense. It's fucking ridiculous. The cars. I'm so tired of driving around LA, seeing all these fucking cars. So fix it. You got 2 weeks. Get rid of the cars. No, but seriously, let's design our cities differently. Why are we doing this to ourselves? It's utterly ridiculous. People love fucking walking cities, walkable neighborhoods and stuff. I love the people ask me, what did you line up in this thing? Because this drowning moment that comes up was a big winner on the internet there, on the Twitter. I'll turn off the volume there so we can talk about it while it plays. The people thought that was like something brilliant, and honestly it was an accident. Right here. Oh, it's right when he says drowning. We'll do the volume for this one here we go.
Expression, hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow.
I lined up the part where it says this part here, the familiar places or whatever, worn out places, I think, when he goes home, because that's what you feel like when you just want to play a video game. You hate your job, you hate your wife. I mean, your life. I think it's nice though. Let's just presume that's his wife. We don't actually have evidence. Could be his housekeeper, could be his sister, could be a robot he built for himself, like the hot chick that Blade Runner's married to, Ryan Gosling. He's got that hologram girlfriend that makes him feel good when he's home. This is let's just say it's his wife. So here's what she's saying to him. Good night, honey. Good night. I'm going to play Zelda in the bedroom. We need a divorce. Play Zelda together. It'll spice things up. It'll spice it up. I would love a girlfriend that does sex video gaming. I mean, like with me. That'd be fun. Or just like sex would be. Yeah, but no, I totally relate. The only difference is that what this guy needs instead of a glass of water is he should be getting baked on some drugs. So that's cool. Now let's read the comments. This is my first time seeing these. I'm gonna hit like on them too. This really hit home. Seeing that joy in his face reminds me why I love these games so much. Hell yeah, baby. I've been playing a little Zelda. My roommate got it on the Switch and we hooked it up to the TV. It's such a fucking awesome game. it's such a good. I was a '80s kid, and so I played the Zeldas back in the old days. I played I played Ocarina in Time, and the other one there was another one around that time. I played Breath of the Wild, and so it's it's actually really bad news for my ability to put out content and to do this stuff I have to do to get my life together. Because I would rather just play Zelda. It's so well made. I'm a very tedious, slow player. I mean, I can get into it. I mean, my thumbs move pretty fast when I need to, but I like to look around and like really feel it and feel the ambience and like check everything. You can only do that so much in these games, especially the scope and size of this one. So you drive yourself crazy. But my roommate's style is very like barreling forward. He just sort of moves right through it real quickly. He's thorough. I mean, he gets it done, and he enjoys it his way. So I've been watching him play it. But fuck, it's a good game. It's such a good game. Here's another one. Ellery Rosewood says, "Man, that timing of the word drown as Link drowns was perfection. You get a like." And the guy just smiles while nodding. Somebody agrees. You get a like. I'm gonna like everything. Here's Life by Kane. One of the best gaming commercials I have ever seen. Hardcore like for that. I've never seen. Here's another one. I don't know if I should say their names. It feels weird, although they deserve credit. I'm not trying to steal it. Stephen John 1 says, "I have never seen a better depiction of the magic of games. Simple but powerful message." Oh my God, so true. Zach Bat says, "Truly beautiful." Zach? Oh, you mean the game? I thought you checked out my podcast. How does this not? I'm going to make a joke after each one of these. It's going to be really cringy, actually, now that I'm planning, but seeing the future. How does this not have more views? I mean, this is perfect, says fake Schrodinger's cat. Fake Schrodinger's cat. Maybe there is that the third explanation? It's just a big con by Big Cat, huh? See? This should have more views, honestly, says supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Hey, I'll vote for you. Thanks for having a 40-year-old playing video games. See? I feel seen, as I'm sure these people do. Video games aren't going away. Like old people, we're all going to be old motherfuckers in if we're lucky to live in a terrible nursing home, because the way human beings, the way we, especially in America, the way we warehouse our old people, our relationship to elderly, that time period of life and death and all that stuff, I don't think is optimal. I feel like we as a species in society could be doing a lot better. But nevertheless, if we're lucky enough to still be alive and living in one of those facilities, I would hope to have a Switch. I'd hope we're all going to be gaming then. You know, they still listen to the radio these days, so we'll be gaming. It'll be fun. Big old magnifying glasses and shit, like weird screens for old people gamers. It'll be great. And all the young kids will think we're really weird because we're not just having it downloaded straight into our stupid heads. All right, let's give that one a like. Perfect timing on the Drown My Sorrow. Honestly, I felt the song was in the ad before you made this perfect edit. Well, isn't that sweet? I so thank you. Give the credit to Mike Drucker, who came up with the idea. All I did was make it happen. No. How does this work so perfectly? Hell yeah, you get a like. Oh, with the laughing emoji smiley face. This is so well done. Nice editing. I only wish that the Nintendo logo at the end was on screen for another second or so to allow the audio to not be cut off so abruptly. Okay, fair point. You know what? I actually rate stretched it. There is yeah. I could have rate stretched it more for the song. Yeah, you're right. I did cut that abruptly. But it's not exactly the same. So the part where the game things spin around, that's shorter in the original. I had to rate stretch it for some reason. I think it was I don't know. I had to. It was a decision I made on the fly. Mike Worthington 4363 says, sat on my second 2-hour bus journey of the day traveling across England for work. Boy, I hope that's not your commute. Like, you know, the level of exhaustion I feel from doing these same routes every day after day. This is the exact vibe. Just sitting there fantasizing about getting home and playing that game, getting on that couch with that glass of water and that electricity machine. You get a like. Someone says, go rent an apartment near your work. Not going to like that one. I'm sorry. I mean, it's actually as reasonable advice, but let's stick to the theme here. In an unironic way, I feel represented here, says Greg Giraldo. Greg Giraldo? That's a comedian. He died. That's a bummer. Really funny guy. The reality of it is many people seem to believe you just grow out of gaming for some reason. You might not do it as much as you get older, but it's still always there. Well, it's all about entertainment options. You're going to stare at a screen somehow, right? I mean, what are you going to do? Go walk around outside and look at the world? Games are getting better and better. Check out my Valheim streams, by the way, but if you want to see some more gaming. Um, Miss Smith Ibi One says, I've never seen a better depiction of being sad. Well, you got to start watching my show. Nicely done. Awesome, says Jacadian. The advertisement is great. When playing the latest installment, you feel just like you've played The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. This is the best understood if you're a bit older. With the smiley face that's an X and a D. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It would have been better if it had subtle atmosphere background sound added to each scene. True. I think we could build it out. I think we could expand on that. Yep. But you gotta like. I discovered this. This is horrible podcasting. Who would I discovered this commercial. Oh, that was the previous one was INB 1959. Now here's Porto Reconnect. I like that. That's clever. Puerto Reconnect 4611. I discovered this commercial because the podcast is making fun of it, but it's not that bad. It's cool seeing a grown-ass man playing the game. The piano in the original commercial is beautiful too. That's true. That's actually the original does have kind of a sad, morose quality to it. Although I honestly agree that this version I did is way better that Mike Drucker thought of. And here's someone saying, I just discovered it because a different podcast was praising it as a reply. You get a like, Brandon W7438. Traveler of the Void 5036 says, wow, that lined up really good. Well, so did my mouse on your like button. What a wonderful time to be alive, says Glacy3464. Glacy, you're a wonderful person. I really miss those somber trailers from the early 2000s. Gonna give you one of those. I imagine there's quite a lot of examples you could probably point us all to. Here's a schizoid personoid. Someone should do a version where the gameplay clips of him figuring out how to build a raft is replaced with clips of people doing really advanced shit with the mechanics. Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yep, break it in on there. I could do that. It depends on how much motion tracking might be necessary, but it does seem like it's fairly static, although I can do more motion tracking if I had to figure it out. I've done some. Actually, and now that I'm learning how to use DaVinci Resolve, the motion tracking in that one is absolutely crazy. It's like so good. Just give a raise to that actor. That's right. Give a raise to all actors. Okay. Give a raise to everybody. Take away the confiscated wealth from the fucking bosses of the planet. These people, we need to withdraw consent from their rule because they're driving us all straight into that Baron Munchausen volcano that we're all so scared of. You get a like. My man got a house this big. I can't feel too bad for him. Haha. Fair point. I get that. And someone says, and a wife. He's got a house and he filled it with a wife. Okay. Who rubs his arm as she walks by to go towards their loveless separation. No, actually, I like to imagine he finishes the Zelda play, because this is what I would do. And I would go in there and I would make her see God, okay? I would Ganondorf that shit, if you know what I'm saying. And I'm talking about banging her body real good in the way that continues the love that we promised to have in front of our friends and family at the courthouse. Frank in the thumbnail, fucking okay. I like that he noticed. I was wondering if anybody would comment. I love that. I'm going to even leave a comment on that one. Thanks. I was hoping someone would notice old Frank back there. That's a good comment. I tend to think about these for like minutes at a time, and then I'll worry about it in bed. I wish I didn't type it. Like, I wish I typed. That doesn't do anybody any good. Someone says, I don't know. I'd rather see him play Mario Party Superstars with friends. Dubs Brown. Okay, fair criticism. That could be spliced in, maybe, or not spliced, but overrode it. What's funny to me about that is like it's imagining that like just this actor in the commercial just is like a guy we want to watch play games because he has a nice smile. He's an actor, great teeth. That release date messed me up for a second. Hell yeah. Not sure exactly what that means. And ____. Sorry, I'm not reading everybody's name, but forgive me. It says, thanks, I love it. I love you. Here's Menu AP says, at my 40s, this is where I go in a deep sleep after a long day in job at 33. Hell yeah, I get you there. Gorgeous, says NFT 639. Well, so are your NFTs, okay? I hope you sell a lot. I feel attacked on a personal level, and they capitalized like every other letter in the word attacked, indicating an extra layer of attackage, I guess. So you get a like. That's up to 4 likes on that one. These are thumbs up. I don't even want to call them likes. Okay, but why is Frank from Donnie Darko in the thumbnail? I'm going to say something to this too. And here's a reply. This song was in Donnie Darko, the answer. Okay, I'm not going to. That's That's plenty of explanation. I really want this segment to end soon so I can finish the rest of this podcast. Shout out to everyone who came here from the Get Played podcast. What? Somebody talked about it on a show? All right. Hey, Get Played. Hit me up. I'll be a guest on your show. We'll talk about what it feels like when your beard falls out. I mean, I'm getting played. The next phase is I have to shave it and keep myself thin enough to not be embarrassed by my double chin. But I have to shave it, which means every time it grows out, because after about 5 hours, 3 to 5, whatever, you feel it. It's only really smooth for like an hour. I'm always going to be like, oh, there's the empty spots. And the 5 o'clock shadow is going to look terrible. So I'm going to have to constantly shave or just let it grow back into this nightmare. So that's okay. That's all right. Let me see. This is, holy moly. That's, I feel like I don't want to guess. I'm sorry. Is that Korean or Japanese or China? I'm sorry. I'm an ignorant American. Please forgive me. It's got 4 likes. I'm hesitant to like something that I don't know what it means. So I think I might have to return to that one. Fuck it. I'll just like it. Hell yeah. Thanks for all those words. Beach led me here. Very nice, says Robin Grenberg 8222. Beach. Hey, Beach. Thanks for sending Robin over. All right. You get a thumbs up. Blessed by the algorithm. That's what we all want to be. The algorithm is God. The algorithm and money have now become like the king and queen of humans. Somehow they're that's even simplistic. They're like a blended thing. The algorithm is superseded the capitalists, because even the capitalists can't control where the algorithm wants to go these days, because they're slaves to the algorithm. I don't know if I should use that word precisely, but someone says, pretty off topic, but my time at college has ruined me as a person. The only thing that pushed me to finish and graduate was my brothers and my dad's yelling, abuse, and manipulating. It made me hate taking the bus. I'm not mentally healthy enough to learn to drive anymore. I can't find a job related to my degree, and it's completely killed love and dating for me. Women won't even give me the time of day. I may have to delete this comment if I need to. P.S. My dad died, and I'm living off I think he means his, inheritance money. Not sure if I hope things get better for you. Here, someone else says, I hope things get better for you, my dude. And advice related to the woman part. I don't know if you do this, but if so, try to not have such negative energy around you. It puts many women down. Boy, have I learned that lesson in my life. The only times I've ever gotten laid was because I was being funny and drunk. That's why it worked. I'm a fun bang when I'm in the good mood. Otherwise, it's just like, geez, why am I banging this sad guy? Look at him. Look at him all curled up. Won't even, it's not. It's fine. I'm happy because I'm at the party, God damn, this fucking thing is driving me. Someone says, if you think of yourself as a loser, then other people will do too. Now everybody's giving advice, so let's give some likes here. I don't know if I want to like the guy fan so sad, but I'm just going to like everybody. That way I'll say, hang in there. You got this. It's always darkest before the dawn. Hang in there. You got this. It'll get better. Everything happens for a reason. I hate it when people say that. It's such bullshit. It's not true at all. It's not true. I'm going to delete that part. That's not true at all. I hate when people say that. I mean, it's literally true, but it's also when people say it to someone who's just having a bad time, it's just like, it's not. Why is that supposed to be comforting? Well, don't worry. It's not for no reason. It'll get better. Here, let's go. I wasn't happy at college either, and now I'm just very unhappy as an adult. No, I'm not going to say that. Let's not say that. Yeah. Yes. It's okay. Just trust yourself. Just learn to trust yourself a little more. You win, says Antelope6125. This is going to be the end of the whole podcast. It's taken so long. You get a thumbs up. Bekar ad hi. Kia Bekwas Roha hi. I don't know that with a smiley face. All right, take a like. What the fuck? Why am I getting a creepy child predator vibes? I don't know if I agree with that. Someone says, keep those thoughts for yourself because you are. Someone says, because you are. Another says, why do you get me vibe from this? Exactly, bro. Okay. We're not liking the creepy predator. And then Civilian Project says, it doesn't quite work. Fair. Your opinion is valid. civilian project with an O. Okay, a zero. I meant to say. That's a valid opinion. Honestly, I agree. I mean, it's obviously outruled by the masses, and you would be exiled from the community if you said that at the public hearing. No, I'm joking. It's not it. But yeah, fair. Totally fair. I don't expect people to like everything. All right. Well, that was fun. Thanks for subscribing, guys. I hope you enjoy the thing here. Yeah, I lined up just at those kind of that were asking about it. This is the moment I lined up before everything else because I had initially because the where the music comes in, there's about a 5-ish second range here while he's first on the bus. And so like you can't just like wait too long and you can't do it. Well, I guess I could have tried it right away, but it made more sense for it to kind of settle in. I want that initial click, this sound. And then it comes in and then, but people, it just happened to hit the drowning moment, which everybody loves. Everybody who can get
head, I wanna drown my sorrow.
Gone forever. What if you had to attend a funeral whenever your video game character died and give a speech before you could get back? Okay, let's move on. So, George R.R. Martin, my favorite dude, one of my heroes. I like to think of myself as the George R.R. Martin of tweeting, except that my tweets never go anywhere, and he's one of the most successful authors in history, maybe, probably. He actually has a really interesting backstory. I didn't realize how much TV writing he's done in his career. So he's a big writer's strike guy, and he's supporting. Let me just turn this down a little bit. Sorry, it's my brain stops working when lights get overwhelming. Ugh. So he tweeted that he wants to say a few words about what's the most important issue. Yes, we are showing it. Good. And oh no, I'm not clicking on it. I already loaded it, you idiot. And I'm at the bottom. So here's his blog, georgerrmartin.com/notablog. Clever. He wrote a thing called Writers on Set. And I thought I'd probably just read the entire thing. Even though I don't think that's great, like video producing, but fuck it. This is a podcast. I get to do what I want. May 8th, 2023. Interesting image here to start with, like a typewriter that has an angry face. Really glad I figured out that was a typewriter because yeah, otherwise I would have seemed really dumb. So here's what he says. He says, I want to say a few words about what I think is the most important issue in the current writer's strike, the so-called mini rooms that the Guild is hoping to abolish and the terrible impact they're having on writers at the start of their careers. By the way, I had teased the picket line video that Hasanabi and Adam Conover, the live stream they did the first day of the picket. Maybe it might have been the second one. And I'm still going to do something about that. So just hang with me. I got to get into Premiere and do a bunch of editing for it first. So it didn't work out this time. Back to George R.R. Martin. A look at my own career may be instructive. For the first 14 years of my career, I wrote only prose, a few novels, and lots of stories for Analog, Asimov's, and various other SF magazines. That means science fiction, and anthologies. Much as I enjoyed television, I never dreamt of writing for it until 1985, when CBS decided to launch a new version of The Twilight Zone. And executive producer Phil DeGuer invited me to write an episode for them. A freelance script, that was how you began back then. I decided to give it a shot, and Phil and his team liked what I did, so much so that within days of delivery, I got an offer to come on staff. Before I quite knew what had happened, I was on my way to LA with a 6-week deal as a staff writer at the Guild minimum salary. At the Guild minimum salary, scripts against. What am I misunderstanding there? I was on my way to LA with a 6-week deal as a staff writer at the Guild minimum salary, scripts against. So that must be some Hollywood jargon. I live in LA and I'd love to be a scriptwriter, screenwriter guy. I've written a few scripts, but I would never expect that to happen at this point in my life. Are you kidding me? No, hold on. I got to fix a thing. We'll edit that. Hello? Check. Not working. Why is that not working? Oh, because I'm not plugged in. Okay. Okay, quick edit. Keep going. Parentheses. In the 80s, staff writers was the lowest rung on the ladder. You could tell because it was the only job with writer in the title. Okay. I don't quite follow that logic. Not that I think his logic is wrong. I'm just, I get it because there's other words. So next paragraph. He has a Twilight Zone logo from the 80s Twilight Zone, by the way, not the Rod Serling one we all know and love. He writes, What I knew about television production when I got off that plane at Burbank was, well, so minimal, I can't think of a pithy analogy. But I learned. I learned in the writer's room from Phil himself and the amazing staff he had assembled for TZ. Jim Crocker, Rockney S. O'Bannon, the incredible Alan Brannert, Michael Cassutt, and a bevy of fantastic freelancers. And not just about dialogue and structure and the language of script writing, I learned about production as well. Production is bold and italicized, which is how you know something's really important. The moment I arrived, Phil threw me into the deep end. I wrote 5 scripts during my season and a half on TZ, and I was deeply involved in every aspect of every one of them. I did not just write my script, turn it in, and go away. I sat in on the casting sessions. I worked with the directors. I was present at the table reads. The Last Defender of Camelot was the first of my scripts to go into production, and I was on set every day. I watched the stuntmen rehearse the climactic sword fight, parentheses, in the lobby of the St. Elsewhere set, as it turned out. And I was present when they shot that scene, and someone zigged when he should have zagged, and a stuntman's nose was cut off. Whoa. A visceral lesson as to the kind of thing that can go wrong. With Phil and Jim and Harvey Frand, our line producer, another great guy who taught me a lot, I watched dailies every day. After the episode was in the can, I sat in on some post-production and watched the editors work their magic. I learned from them too. Okay? I want people to pay me to teach them video editing, by the way. Leave a comment. Maybe we'll work something out. It'll be expensive, like a piano teacher, but way cooler. Next paragraph. There is no film school in the world that could have taught me as much about television production as I learned on Twilight Zone during that season and a half. When TZ was renewed for a second season, I was promoted from staff writer to story editor. More money, and now scripts were plus and not against. Okay, so there's some way that the scripts add or take away, I suppose. Started sitting in on freelance pitches, and now I was allowed to talk and give notes. Sadly, the show was canceled halfway through the second season, but by that time I had learned so much that I was able to go on to further work in television. I did a couple stories for Max Headroom, but my next staff job was Beauty and the Beast. They brought me on as executive story editor, one bump up from my TZ rank. Over the next 3 years, I climbed the ladder, rung by rung. Co-producer, producer, co-supervising producer, supervising producer, co-executive producer. When B&B finished its run, I started writing features and pitching pilots. Landed an overall deal at Columbia, created and scripted Starport and The Survivors and Fade Out and Doorways. Wow. Which we filmed for ABC. I was showrunner. What? Along with Jim Crocker and executive producer of that one. I didn't know any of this about George R. R. Martin. That was my first 10 years in television, 1985 to 1995, more or less, long before HBO and Game of Thrones. None of it would have been possible if not for the things I learned on Twilight Zone as a staff writer and story editor. I was the most junior of junior writers, maybe a hot-ish young writer in the world of SF, but in TV, I was so green that I would have been invisible against a green screen. Love it. And that, in my opinion, is the most important of the things that the Guild is fighting for. The right to have that kind of career path, to enable new writers, young writers, and yes, prose writers to climb the same ladder. Right now, they can't. Streamers and shortened seasons have blown the ladder to splinters. The way it works now, a show gets put in development, the showrunner assembles a mini room made up of a couple of senior writers and a couple newcomers. They meet for a month or two, beat out the season, break down the episodes, go off and write scripts, reassemble, get notes, give notes, rewrite, rinse, and repeat, and finally turn into the scripts. Maybe he meant turn in the scripts, but that also, okay, I don't know. Sorry. It's George R. R. Martin. I should not question. And show is greenlit, parentheses, or not. Some shows never get past the room, end parentheses, and sent into production. The showrunner and his second, maybe his second and his third, take it from there. The writer-producers, the ones who already know all the things that I learned on Twilight Zone. Oh, I see. So like the top ones, the writer-producers, the guys that with all the more experience and stuff. Okay. The junior writers, they're not there. Once they delivered their scripts and did a revision or two, a revision of two, he writes, but I think he meant or two, they were paid, sent home, their salary ended. They are off looking for another gig. If the series gets another season, maybe they will be brought back. Maybe they won't. Maybe they can't, since they are off in another mini room for another show. If they do get brought back, they may get a promotion, but that's not guaranteed. I know writers who have been staff writer on half a dozen different series and others who have been writer's room assistant, which is the new entry-level gig. Oh, sorry, parentheses here, which is the new entry-level gig. Let me back up a sentence. I know writers who have been staff writer on half a dozen series and others who have been, quote unquote, writer's room assistant, parentheses, which is the new entry-level gig since no one buys freelance scripts anymore, end parentheses. 3 or 4 times, never getting off the bottom rung of the ladder, no matter, he writes, but no matter how talented they are. And when a junior writer does finally get a better title, even one that will put a P word on their IMDb credits, they still won't have any producing experience. In many cases, they won't be asked to set even when... Oh, asked to set. Oh, sorry, I thought set was a verb there. Set's a noun. He means the set where they film it. In many cases, they won't be asked to set even when the episodes they wrote are being filmed. They may be allowed on set if the showrunner and execs, this is in parentheses, or if the showrunner and execs are cool with that, but only as a visitor with no authority, no role, and no pay, of course. They may even be told they're not allowed to speak to the actors. That's got to be really weird to be the writer and to go see it filmed. I imagine it's wonderful when it's like really cool and it's like, you know, the collaboration is healthy and stuff and everybody's being compensated and it's a good project. But to go there and be like just like relegated to just the sidelines, if you're lucky, and like you'd be causing problems if you tried to like talk to people and you wrote the thing. That's super. I mean, it's a very collaborative industry. I'm sorry to go off the rails here, but yeah, that's intense. One of the things, next paragraph, the AMPTP, that's the Academy of Motion Picture and Theatrical Producers. That represents all like the streaming companies and the studios and stuff. And also the law firm, one of the law firms, at least, I don't know all their law firms, that the Young Turks hired when they had their union busting going on because there was 2 NLRB cases back then. It's on the NLRB website. That's how I know this. Is one of the same is Mitchell, Silverberg, and Knupp, which is on this website proudly brags about their role in defending the AMPTP. So the Young Turks hires the same law firm that is on the side of the producers. That's crazy. I worked at the Young Turks. Everybody is new and doesn't know about that. Lots more to say about that. That's nuts. But anyway, okay. One of the things the AMPTP put forward in their last offer to the WGA is that some writers might be brought onto sets as unpaid interns to shadow and observe. Those are in quotes. Even that will not be an absolute right. Maybe they will be let in, maybe not. These are the people who wrote the stories being filmed, who created the characters, who wrote the words the actors are saying. I was way more than that in 1985, and so was every other staff writer in television at the time. The juniors may have worked for as long as half a year on the show, all of it in a room with other writers, but they won't be part of the casting. They won't be meeting with the director. They won't be at the table read. No one will bring them into the editing suite so the editor can explain what he's doing. The line producer will not sit down and go over the budget with them, parentheses, as Harvey Frand did with me, or patiently explain why they can't have 9 matte paintings or that huge montage. Like, wouldn't you be a better writer going as you gain all this experience? Not to ask for 9 matte paintings? Understanding production and editing would be a huge boon to the overall quality and the ease and the efficiency of the profit extraction because they'd make better decisions. Sorry, that's my own interjection there. They won't be sharing lunch with the stars. If a stuntman's nose is cut off, they will need to read about it. Variety. I think it means in Variety. Since they will be off in another room on another show. Mini rooms are abominations, and the refusal of the AMPTP to pay writers to stay with their shows through production as part of the job for which they need to be paid, not as a tourist. It is not only wrong, it is incredibly short-sighted. If the story editors of 2023 are not allowed to get any production experience, where do the studios think the showrunners of 2033 are going to come from? If nothing else, the WGA needs to win on that issue, no matter how long it may take. And then we have an animated GIF, or is this like an old-timey website thingy? It's like an alien that looks angry. It says current mood determined with an alien face that I guess it's red eyes make, I guess, yeah, anger and determination often are similar facial expression. Take it from me. I have done animation. Well, I love that he doesn't edit much because there's like typos and stuff in there. So it's like I get so precious whenever I write something and I try to make it perfect. I still fuck up. So why not just like bang it out once, maybe read it once, but Why? Yeah, I'm just gonna start doing what George R. R. Martin does. I imagine this just flows out of his hands. All great points, man. You know, it's like the whole writers strike is not just about the pay that they're not getting because of the streaming model, but also the use of AI as it goes forward. Which actually is something interesting. And I bookmarked a bunch of AI articles, and I'm going to watch some more stuff because I want to kind of dig into that a little more. Obviously, I have some formed opinions already, but we're going to get back to that topic for sure. So I'm not going to go on about it. But the more they can just eliminate the humans and this kind of career development that George R. R. Martin just explained to us, the more they think they can maximize profits and make more money and not have to be encumbered by the humanity of the people who actually produce it. All these rich pieces of shit, these bosses, the Zaslavs, that's the guy, the Netflix guy, who got like 200 million in bonus or stock options and 50 million in pay, you know, $250 million for a year of work. And then they're pleading poverty as far as to whether they can afford to pay the literal source of the primary nutrient. Like, none of these shows could be made without all the jobs being done. Like, the writers are I think arguably the most important, but you take away one of the roles and the show doesn't get made. You need all the physical work, you need all the post, the pre, the post, the production, blah, blah, blah. But the writer is the sole part of that process. That's the soul of it, along with like a showrunner who knows how to like integrate it all into that entire difficult, complex, collaborative thing. The writer is the heart. The writer is where the emotion and the humanity starts, right? And that's also what drives the industry, like why people flock, why we all look for this kind of stuff to escape from our shitty worlds and our own lives. And they just want to erase all that. They just want to get rid of that, and then they're going to try to get rid of editing through AI. They're going to get rid of actors through AI. I bookmarked a really interesting Twitter thread that somebody had written. They think that because it all happens on computers and it all ends up in electricity, that all you need to do is just reorganize how you conduct the electricity. That's essentially what this whole AI business is all about. It's fucking sick, man. Just because they've got the legal mandate to maximize shareholder value, and that there's weird psychotic demons. They're venture capitalists and Wall Street firms that are buying into these things, that expect gigantic returns, and that they expect their payments, and so the whole core of this whole thing is being ruined by people who don't need money, that just want more money. And it's disgusting. So shout out to George Martin. Hat tip to my boy. That's how he dresses. That's the hat he wears. That's his Twitter profile. He's got this funny smile. He does wear that hat. I think I'd look good in one of those hats. I think I would look great in one of those hats. You know, I think it look really nice. Another chunk here from about George R. R. Martin is, this is just an update. I had reported, that's a strong word. I don't do reporting. I'm just a fucking internet bullshit guy. But there's a video on the channel about the Dunk and Egg spinoff called The Hedge Knight. Now, in my brain, I had remembered that it was called Dunk and Egg. And so when I saw The Hedge Knight, I thought that it was like, whoa, there's two of them? But that's because I'm stupid. Actually, The Hedge Knight is the Dunk and Egg show about the knights named Duncan and one's named Egg. Egg is Duncan's squire, apparently. He's his employee. So I'm not going to read this whole thing. And then I kind of want to try reading entire articles for other stuff for the podcast, maybe Patreon things. So I'm going to do that again. But let me know how that works. Did you like that? Anyway, keep focus. Variety reports Game of Thrones spinoff The Hedge Knight writers' room pauses as George R. R. Martin offers unequivocal support of WGA, as you'd expect. It'd be kind of shocking. Just read the first paragraph here. Like many projects in the early production during the writer's strike, the upcoming Game of Thrones spinoff, a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, The Hedge Knight, has paused its writer's room, author George R. R. Martin revealed in a new blog post Monday. So yeah, he's written, they talk about the shows he's written. So I love this. This is one of my favorite things that websites are doing these days. Although this is probably fucking AI. Trinity Audio. I don't think a real person, we're about to listen to a real person. So here I am, part of the problem. But it's got that audio thing where you can hear a voice speak it. Will it be a lady voice or a male voice? Let's find out.
Game of Thrones spin-off The Hedge Knight Writers' Room pauses as George R.R. Martin offers unequivocal support of WGA.
Hell yeah. I just want to hear George's words, though. This is what George wrote. I'm just going to guess a little bit and hope that I'm in the right spot.
About his other TV shows, like AMC's Dark Winds Season 2.
Here we go.
I am not in LA, so I cannot walk a picket line as I did in 1988. But I want to go on the record with my full and complete and unequivocal support of my guild, he wrote. How long will the strike last? No idea. Maybe the AMP members will come to their senses tomorrow and offer some meaningful concessions, and the whole thing can be wrapped up next week.
Nope, not going to do that. The AMP members are definitely not going to come to their senses. If anything, I've been hearing stuff about how they plan to have like 8 to 10 weeks of there's content there that they can kind of carry for a little while, but that they also have contracts that when enough time goes by where nothing happens, it like voids or some sort of thing is triggered. And so they're going to just let it go that long. They have all the money. They have all the fucking money. Like they can withstand this stuff. Capital always has more money. They always have, because they control the violence. Their access to the concept of ownership allows them to have a ticket to government violence, which gives them the pile of cash that they need. They're parasites. They have no business being in these positions of power. How much wonderful content, I hate using that word, but how many amazing shows could we only got to enjoy Game of Thrones because George R.R. Martin had that history with TV show creation, and his ability to write the, to start it from his own brain, but also all of his experience. Instead, we've got to just satisfy the lusts, the money lust of these freaks. Let's keep listening to George.
I would not bet the ranch on that, however. I have been through several of these since I first started writing for television and film in 1986. The 1988 strike, the first I was a part of, lasted 22 weeks, the longest in Hollywood history. The 2007 to 2008 strike, the most recent, went for 100 days. This one may go longer. The issues are more important, and I have never seen the Guild so united as it is now. HB.
That's right, baby. So a couple of things to note from here. We don't need to do the whole thing. I just want to give you some updates, though. Season 2 of AMC's Dark Winds, which Martin executive produces, is in post-production on 5 of its 6 episodes, which will air this summer. He said that no decision on Season 3 will be made until after the strike. So, like, you kind of got to follow it technically, the technicality. Like, you can't just stop something. There's no more writing happening. It's all filmed. They're going to still, reach the end. Unless IATSE, I almost joined when we were doing the union at the Young Turks. We were they did finally join IATSE. I didn't make it in because I got fired about a month before. But I was setting up to join the MPEG 700, which is the Motion Picture Editors Guild. And so, I suppose it's plausible that the solidarity machine might crank up a couple more notches. The Teamsters are already showing a ton of solidarity. We're seeing all kinds of other indicators from different sectors of the entertainment world. I know SAG, the actors unions, are like stepping up and showing some solidarity. Of course, there's going to be some people that are going to be like on the wrong side and stuff, and they deserve to be called out. Like that fucking Ken Jennings. Did you guys see that? Did you see that? Ken Jennings, Jeopardy guy, piece of shit, fucking scab. Blossom, Maya something Millman. I don't know her name. I guess she's hosting it. I haven't watched Jeopardy in years, but I saw this. She chose not to film the last week because of the strike. But Ken Jennings said he'd show up for it. I hope it's not. I hope I'm right, meaning I hope I'm not reporting things that aren't true. If that's the case, I will correct it. But Ken Jennings, nice guy. What, you don't have enough money, Ken? Got to keep your paymasters happy? Fucking scab. You deserve scorn and exile. Okay? No coconuts for Ken this year. You don't get to go to the dance. There should be punishment for that. I don't want to, not hurting anybody, but fuck you, Ken Jennings. God, it makes me so mad. Okay, but anyway, Dark Winds. I've never heard of Dark Winds because I don't have Hulu or AMC or whatever the fuck. He said that no decision on season 3 will be made until after the strike. That's where the solidarity happens, but you got to finish the editing. Another update, though. Martin wrote that House of the Dragon season 2 will continue filming as the scripts were finished months ago and will not have any more revisions. So, okay, as long as there's nothing that's happening in the writing, You can argue that you wouldn't need to do that unless like IATSE decides to pull their, put in a strike, but I don't think that's going to happen. Although who the hell knows, man? It feels like things in the world are changing so much. Okay, I don't need to do another audio bit there. Yeah, we'll do the final one, and then here's his here's what he says about the books. Everybody wants George to finish. Hey, Game of Thrones was such a success that he's been too busy banging. He's been busy living out the good life, living that baller lifestyle he's always aspired. Guys, let the guy clear his brain as much as he needs to so he can finish his book. And then people say, well, he's overweight. He's got to, it's like, I know, I get it. I get the logic, but come on, give him a break. He wrote some good shit. I read those books. I love Game of Thrones. Finally, the author gave an update on his penultimate A Song of Ice and Fire novel, the long-delayed The Winds of Winter, which was originally dated for 2014. So here, let's listen to what George says about that. This is George talking here.
Some of you, I fear, may be having anxiety attacks just now, on the mistaken assumption that this strike affects Winds of Winter. You can relax, Martin wrote. The WGA is a union of film and television writers. It has nothing to do with novels, short stories, or any other form of prose fiction, nor comic books and graphic novels, nor stage plays, nor the editing of collections and anthologies. I have ongoing projects in all those areas, and that work continues unabated. And Winds continues to be priority number one.
Just a quick word from our sponsor.
No!
Love your sleep all summer with 20%.
20% off your sleep, love. Okay. Man, I have so much thoughts about advertising. I don't think it's necessarily like something we can just eliminate, but just it's so manipulative. It's just all this consumerist culture that's just so thoroughly baked in. We're multiple generations now of watching our parents be influenced by capitalist-driven advertising. And that's really bad. I need to watch Century of the Self by Adam Curtis. So actually, I have a project idea I might cook up about that one. But I've watched the first one. It's a really terrific series on YouTube. There's 4 parts. It's 4 hours. But Adam Curtis is a great British documentary maker who made Hypernormalization. If you're on the left, you're probably every lefty has a Adam Curtis phase in their development. You should absolutely have yours. And it's also fun to revisit. Pretty intense shit though. I mean, his editing style. He's like a British guy. He does a lot of talking like this. That's not. But Century of the Self is about the foundations of modern consumerism and how, well, at least part 1 is about how psychoanalysis, starting with the Sigmund Freud family, set forth this guy Edward Bernays, who is the nephew of Sigmund Freud and also considered the founder of modern public relations. How that industry was sort of birthed and how governments and corporations learned that we can do mass manipulation using like mass communication, using modern quote unquote psychological concepts and stuff, and essentially just cultivated in a society that's built around narcissistic, selfish consumption, which is kind of where we are, in my opinion. And so, but I haven't seen the other 3, so I sort of have that's fun. So big shout out to Big Man George. Love the matching suspenders. Jealous of his full beard. Save some for the rest of us, George. No, and the hat. Did you think he puts his hats down on like hat model? You're really serious about your hats when you have the mannequin head, or especially if I were that, I would do the kind that just is like not painted. The eyeballs, the eyelashes, nose, mustache, maybe lips, creepy. It's already creepy enough that you just have an empty human-shaped ball thing that is for your hat. But I don't know if he does that or not. But he's standing in front of a castle, so we're already at an hour because I'm not, and I have this story about the minimum wage creating jobs. I actually had already decided not to do this one today because I wanted to find some information about what people earn and what people make and like what people think. There's this one study I was thinking of. So we're going to move on from that. But they did just learn. This is a story in New York Intelligent in New York Magazine. by Eric Levitz. Just a little brief here is that minimum wage actually creates jobs. When you raise the minimum wage, when you give people at the very bottom more money, it spurs economic activity. People who are already underwater in most of their things, and giving them a little bit closer to being out from being underwater. $15 an hour is a fucking poverty, is terrible amount of money to earn. I was making $18.50 at my woodworking job, where I fucked my wrists up. I was making $22.50 for like the last month, but about that month or two. But yeah, and this article talks about the conventional wisdom that if we raise the minimum wage, well, that's just going to mean less for the people who got more money. It's like we don't ever question the idea that the wealthy have this entitlement to all of your wealth, all of your value, and then they give you back a tiny slice of it in the form of wages and benefits. But the idea that they should do with less, that maybe the Zaslavs, the Netflix guy, should do with less than $250 million in a fucking year. It's absurd. We're also going to talk about Dianne Feinstein. Getting back to DC, I think we're going to call an audible. I am trying to keep these freaking podcasts under an hour, and we're already at an hour and 12. So I think we should just jump ahead. We're going to save all this Dianne Feinstein stuff. Let's just do the Trump shit about CNN. Honestly, I find this kind of boring. But I also want to talk about Rudy Giuliani, though. This is just a little tease. Let's do a little bit of tease here. This is the tweet that came across my Twitters. Is that Rudy plus this is from $5 feminist Liz Dye on Twitter. Rudy plus Viagra ... Oh dear. And she's got tapes apparently. Oh lordy, she says she's got tapes. This is entry 7 on some sort of description thing in a legal document. Giuliani also took Viagra constantly. Constantly? I've never taken one. I would take one. Yeah, I would do it. While working with Miss Dunphy, Giuliani would look to Miss Dunphy, point to his erect penis, and tell her that he could not do any work until, quote, you take care of this. Whoosh. That's when the hammer comes down if I'm around that erect penis. Whoosh. Smack it. I'd smack it with a broom. Thus, Miss Dunphy worked under the constant threat that Giuliani might demand sex from her at any moment. But how did that end? How did that scenario end? Did she take care? I mean, I'm not trying to make funny of it. Like, what do you do? Just like, well, no, all right, let's just keep going on our meeting here. Like what? Even when the COVID-19 pandemic halted Giuliani's ability to physically assault her, he demanded that she disrobe during their work-related video conference. Jesus Christ. So we'll do that one later. Fucking Giuliani, man. I always said, don't trust that guy. So Trump was on CNN, and don't worry, we're not playing Trump videos. I don't have videos of him. I don't care, honestly. I did watch it. It's been quite a while since I've watched something and then like watched Twitter at the same time. That's sort of the way I ingest those sorts of things. And my Twitter feed, of course, mine's a bubble. Mine's got a bias selection to it, obviously. And who knows what the algorithm is feeding me or what the algorithm is preventing me from seeing. It's seeing what's happening on Twitter. Get off my headphones here. Seeing what's going on with Twitter is just freaking gross, man. It's very, very clearly a tool for fascists. What Elon Musk is doing is censoring tweets from autocrats in Turkey and India, and the free speech guy is just happily censoring stuff. And not to mention, it's clear by his dull, lazy, stupid, moronic personality and the people he follows, but that he's on the right. Not that why should that be? It seems absurd to me that it's up for debate. The people he's platforming and elevating, who he seems concerned about and is responding to, and just like this putz with all this money is able to just command an entire social media company on a whim. It's absurd. It's so absurd. And breaking it, and eventually I think it's going to crumble in some form, or at least be relegated to being just sort of a right-wing wasteland. Somebody I like a lot, Matt Christman of the Chapo gang, Chapo Trap House, huge podcast. Matt Christman's really smart. He's got a really history. Like I need to finish listening to his latest thing, separate project called Hell on Earth, which is about the 30 Years War. It's like a historical thing. But he's like I think he's autistic, by the way. I've heard him mention it once or twice, which kind of explains why he starts rocking back and forth. And so like I could tell that like I've liked him a lot. Before I learned I was autistic, and then I learned it, and I was like, oh man, that probably explains why I like Matt Christman so much, because I kind of the way he thinks about the world, the way he sort of threads all these things. But he has such a far beyond what I know command of history and stuff. But I've heard him make this point a couple times about he has a podcast called Grill Stream, by the way, where he sort of just rambles and kind of verbally writes. It's in a sense, I think it's kind of what I do. I sort of fancy myself a writer, but the podcast is essentially me just sort of like spitting paragraphs out, because my brain tends to work in paragraphs and thoughts, and then I get tripped up and I get in my own way. But luckily, I'm hilarious and charming, and you can't resist me. Patreon.com/winners and losers. Let's get up to Chapo. They're at $180,000 a month on their Patreon. So I'm at 20. $20, not 20,000. I would be fucking thrilled with $2,000 a month. I could live on that. I could live on $2,000 a month. I could live on $2,000 a month. Of course, I would prefer more, but wow, 180 a month. Anyway, they've been pretty successful for quite a long time. But I've heard him make the point that I forgot what I was saying. Okay, edit right there. I sat there for like 5 minutes. I totally forgot my point about what I was saying about Matt Christman. I watched the video. I stopped the recording and I watched it. Now I remember. I was talking about how Twitter is heading straight for just becoming a right-wing wasteland. Like Elon basically bought a major established platform and converted it into what they always wanted Parler and Gab to become. And one of the things I've heard Matt Christman say is the reason those don't work, those other right-wing ones that are explicitly right-wing, is because, and why Twitter is such an appeal, is because they want to be at the place where the people they don't like are. The appeal to the right-wingers on Twitter, the trolls and all that, not that there aren't left-wing trolls, I'm not trying to suggest it's unique to the right, but the weird Elon defenders and all the capitalist bootlickers and all that. But Matt said, like, the reason that they're there is because the people they don't like are there. What appeals to them, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, is the response, is upsetting those, is seeing the way their policies, their trolling, their viewpoints, their aberrant behavior upsets the people that they are deemed their foes. So they're attracted to the draw, the gravity of something like Twitter, at least in its current form, for the right wingers that are on there, is that the liberals and the lefties are also on there. So they get to experience the response, the negative response. The negative is too simplistic, but like the way that they're upsetting those who they deem who they don't like. I think that's pretty insightful. It's shades. It has shades of the concept of or something I've talked about too in the past, is like that it doesn't matter what they think they know, or it doesn't matter what their opinions are, or why and people will often point out hypocrisy about the right wing. Robert Reich, who I like, is a guy on Twitter. He's a little tiny guy who does all these videos, and he was, I think, Clinton's labor secretary, and seems like a good-hearted guy. He's probably not anywhere near as leftist and revolutionary as I would like, as I am, but that, he's all right. He loves to point out the hypocrisy, and so like the hypocrisy of the right. Don't they realize it's hypocritical? Trump did it at the CNN thing we're going to talk about right now, where about the debt ceiling. Like he was asked about his criticisms of the debt negotiations right now with Biden, and yet during his during his presidency, he was quoted saying it's wrong to use the debt ceiling as a thing, and he shouldn't care about it, whatever. So complete opposite position. And his answer was, to his credit, this is effective political communication because it gives his audience exactly what they want. But again, it's total hypocrisy. He's like, well, I'm not president now. Well, I'm just using this as a wedge, as a cudgel to beat my foes. And they loved it. That was a confident, simple answer. That is his audience, his bleating morons in that audience loved hearing that. But that kind of thing is, it doesn't matter what their positions are, what they're taught, what they're told to believe, their the media diets that they consume, the Hannitys, the online, freaks, Ben Shapiro and Crowder and Alex Jones and all. The list goes on and on and on. And there's constantly new people cropping up too. They're all easily switchable in terms of their positions on anything. But they're all broadcasting feelings. They're all broadcasting emotional registers, not logic. They like to use the word logic, but that's usually not an indication that someone's using logic. So all that matters to them, though, is that the people they don't like are mad. As long as it seems like the people they've been taught to resent, taught to perceive as their foes, someone like myself, for instance, is mad or upset or making some freak out or having a rant or, having a meltdown, as long as they're upset, we're right. I don't need to know anything about the details. I don't need to know what it's all about, even though what they're really doing is making sure that the government services are kept as minimal, if not eliminated completely, that the cultural issues are replace the economic issues in terms of what people's forefront in their consciousness is and what they're currently aware of, so that they can continue the grift and that their own policies, the things they're going to vote for, why are you voting against your own interests? Well, they're not. Their interest is that the people they don't like are mad. That's their interest. They don't connect the economic strings, the cultural manipulation and the economic manipulation into the system of capitalism. They don't see the strings. They never can. They never will. That's why they become bootlickers to these people. Using that phrase, bootlickers. I'm usually not someone who adopts new words. I only recently just started using the word bling. That's how I describe my dingleberry. Why did I go with dingleberries? That was a dumb choice. So they're just getting mad. As long as the right people are mad, then they don't need to know the details. And it's such a great bamboozle. It's just Men in Black, one of the all-time great film franchises, has the neuralizer, which Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith use liberally. They use it as frequently as they want to, where they just zap people in the brain and then tell them a good story, and then the people just go, and then they taught them to neuralize themselves. I don't need it. I don't need to remember anything. As long as the people I see that I think I don't like are upset, someone like myself, I would make sure that you had more power in your world, that you'd had more voice, that you had more respect, that your boss didn't get to trounce you, that you got to control your body with all the rights that you deserve as a human being, as an animal on a rock, on a wet rock floating in fucking space. I would make sure you could see a doctor without going into bankruptcy. I would say you see a doctor without spending a single fucking dime. You'd have so much less stress. You'd have more leverage over your workplaces. You'd have more power. You'd have safer communities. But I would be labeled a lefty jagoff. And so you're going to be like, oh, well, as long as he's, fuck him. I don't care what he thinks. As long as he seems like he's mad about this stuff, then good. Then I don't care what the details are. Obviously that there are exceptions. Obviously these things are more complicated than that. But yeah. It's absurd. It's crazy. So anyway, let's dive in on this stuff a little bit more here. Okay, we're still recording. So this is a New Republic article. I think I'm quoted in a New Republic article. Maybe we'll look that up right at the very end regarding DOT's union busting. I just don't remember. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a New Republic. The one Kim Kelly, the labor reporter, asked me. But that goes back a few years. Headline: Shame on CNN for that naked, cynical play for Fox viewers. This is by Michael Tomasky, May 10th, 2023. Subheading: Kaitlan Collins and the network's journalists tried their best, but the execs from Chris Licht on down brought total shame on themselves, journalism, and America. I agree. I wasn't so upset about it. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to do a little scroll here. I do recall there was some stuff at the end. Yeah, this is the part. I mean, it's. I'm not saying skip what this guy's saying. Okay, let's just read. We'll read the second paragraph here. Well, I hope today some of his more alert employees, and he's referring to CNN boss Chris Licht. CNN's been taking kind of this right-wing turn recently. This guy Chris Licht is a newer ascendant parasite into the system. Taking on that leadership role. So this is paragraph 2. Well, I hope today some of his more alert employees are reminding him of those noble words, because the Donald Trump quote unquote town hall was an absolute fiasco for journalism and democracy, quite plainly the worst non-Fox night of cable news in recent memory, this was a grotesque scramble for ratings and cash, a naked bid by CNN to get some of that flagging post-Tucker Fox News audience that's out there up for grabs. Newsmax, OANN, who are these pipsqueaks? Licht obviously sits around his office wondering as he conceives of some way for mighty CNN to get a slice of that juicy pie. So, yeah, there's some more reading I have to do about Licht per se, but I've been seeing stuff for months about like getting rid of that the King Brian Stelter, which my buddies at the Knowledge Fight podcast, they were like on his last broadcast. They do a podcast about Alex Jones, so it was right when Alex Jones's big judgment came out, and then like the week after that they get canceled. So it's funny that it's fun to blame them. Great podcast, by the way, Knowledge Fight, go check it out. Yeah, so it's not surprising that this guy probably he's a media executive. He's a rich guy. Certainly it's safe to assume that there's right-wing leanings personally, but also that there's that promise of some of that sweet, sweet cash and that sweet, sweet advertising dollars and catching, scooping up those Fox News viewers and all the people in America who are happy to just fork over their wallets. Gold advertisers, catheter tips, what else? Fucking pharmaceutical. I've got some British listeners. I always get British folks dialing in. Ow, my fucking wrist. Both my God damn it. The right one's doing a little bit better than the left one lately. And the British folks, to get back to the point, let me know in the comments. I don't think you guys do get what we get. I'm almost very certain you don't. I think it's very unique to the United States. Do you get pharmaceutical ads? It just must seem one of my favorite things in the world is outside perspectives on America. I really appreciate when people are like, "Wow, that's fucking horrible over there." I'm not going there. There's too many shootings. I'm not going there. There's too much. It's a nightmare country. It's like, certainly there's plenty of good reasons to visit the United States. We've got some great people. We've got some beautiful mountains and even better waterfalls. But although we share a really nice waterfall with Canada, those royalists, but we advertise the advertising. So I don't check in on regular TV much at all anymore. I used to, of course, before the internet and everything, and it used to always be on. And it's remarkable. I've gone home a bit and to see my family back in Illinois, and there are times where, like at my stepmom and my dad, and like they've got the TV on, and then they just like leave it on during commercials. And I'm real sensitive to noise anyway, so I have a hard time with like background noise. But if they start talking during the commercial because the show's on a break, they don't always turn the TV down. And then I become the guy who's like, can we just mute it? Like, why? But like, and I'm not trying to judge my family here, but like that's a very common thing. I think a lot of Americans are very like dialed in on their not even dialed in. It's tuned out, but it's also influencing them. The constant barrage of getting you to buy stuff and getting commercials. And I'm sure that still happens in places. And of course there's internet versions of that. And we're constantly, harangued by our betters to buy stuff, to open our wallets, because rich people need more money, got to keep the system going. But here in America, and occasionally I watch this MSNBC stream and get some commercials, or maybe watch TV somewhere. Let me take the headphones off here. And the pharmaceutical commercials, and perhaps because it's news, they're targeting older folks, but like, I know this is not, I don't have any insights here. I haven't done much thinking. And so it's not like I have any new angle to this, but it just always strikes me as just horrifying that of all the products where you need expertise and you should have professionals who are only motivated by the well-being and the notion of healing people and giving them what's healthiest for them. It's pharmaceutical. It's heavy grade chemicals that you ingest, pills and shots and therapies and balms. Why did that make me cough? All those things that they just turn over to the advertising monkeys, the shit throwing gorillas and monkeys that just are trying to get your attention so that they can monetize it and turn it into profits that they can, and not to mention these supplier side advertising where they're the pharmaceutical sales reps are enticing doctors and enticing physician groups and such and such and such and such. So there's all this capitalism flowing, these rivers of disgusting pink ooze flowing through the medical system, on top of all the other ways that the medical system in America is a crime against humanity. But it's just nuts. It's the pharmaceutical advertising is so normal here in America, but it just must seem like among the many ways America is off the deep end to outsiders, to foreigners, so British folks and other people, non-Brits. Let me know. What do you think when you see pharmaceutical, when you know, or if you're not even familiar, if you're not even sure what I'm talking about, just do a little Googling, just look up American pharmaceutical ads. I'm sure there's plenty of articles and shit. It's horrifying. It's really crazy that that's how it works. I suppose in a world I would design, you're going to need communication between people who design and sell drugs, healing drugs, and whatever prescription things for medicine. Although in the world I would design, the entire apparatus would be completely different. I don't even know if you would need it. But of course, there's got to be like the stream of knowledge flowing between research and between production and between, what doctors have available to offer to their patients and stuff. So, but even in this world we're in, it should be, it's banned in other countries for a reason, because it's incredibly risky and incredibly inappropriate to have that. So I did see some of those pharmaceuticals when I was watching the CNN thing, and it's just like, it's everywhere, and we're just okay with it. It's so corrupt. It's all because of corruption. I mean, like the solutions to most of these things are blocked by the current corruption that's in the way. Let's not get started about Dianne Feinstein and Clarence Thomas. Different forms of corruption. I saw a Twitter thread of all the trades Dianne Feinstein's done, and she's super rich, so she's gonna have a lot of money. She's gonna be able to afford that ticket to heaven when she gets up there. It's like way more expensive than a Taylor Swift concert. More from Thomas Tomasky, Michael Tomasky. What's his name? Yeah, Michael Tomasky. I got it right. Here's about Trump. He lied about 2020. He lied about January 6th. He lied about E. Jean Carroll. He lied about abortion. He lied about his classified documents. He lied about energy independence. The United States did achieve energy independence, quote unquote, during his presidency. But as these things aren't measured, it's energy independent today. More so under Biden than him. I don't know how they're measuring that, but that's a comparatively small lie. But it proves the point. He lied about everything. He can't do anything other than lie. Lying is how he has lived for decades. That's true. It's amazing. Like I felt you feel crazy watching Trump. You feel anxious. You get this kind of like, and you can only do that so long. And he just goes. He's got this motor. This thing just goes. It's like a fireworks store exploding in a controlled burn or something, or like a strip of firecrackers, because you can't keep up with it. You cannot track it. It's mesmerizing. And for a lot of people in his audience, I mean, certainly tons of people don't fall for it. Tons of people take that feeling of discomfort, and it translates into them not liking him and thinking we shouldn't give him nuclear weapons. But for a lot of people, I don't think they feel the discomfort. They feel comfort. They feel validated. They feel seen. They see a bully doing bully stuff, saying the things, giving them permission, validating their worst instincts, validating the parts of American culture, the parts of American society that has flowed through the slinky dropping down the stairs of generational trauma, not just trauma, but also just stupidity and generational obstinacy and generational morony. That's not a word. All to just make them feel better. And like that was what I found most disturbing about the CNN thing, was just the way the audience was just eating it up. I mean, it's obviously ridiculous that they filled the audience with only friendly people. I mean, I suppose that's not the worst thing that could happen. Bernie Sanders did at Fox Town Hall. I don't know how diverse that audience was in terms of ideology, but I think it was generally a right-wing crowd, although they didn't come at him with like a lot of aggression. But he's such a persuasive kind of like straightforward communicator that won Fox News. This is like years back, like 2016 cycle. And it was so successful. Like people loved everything. Like they're cheering the stuff Bernie's saying about taxes and billionaires and like, so, and healthcare. And so like they never did that again. So I'm not necessarily saying I don't think that's the worst thing, but it was it should have been balanced, I guess, in more in terms of ideology. And I mean, the whole thing's produced, the whole thing's part of the dumb show. So let's keep going with this. Just a couple more paragraphs, I guess. We'll just see where this leads us. Were there any redeeming qualities in the exercise? Michael Tomasky writes. We did get a bit of insight into his planned attack lines on the classified documents. This is italicized. Joe Biden took 1,800 boxes. I don't know if this is true off the top of my head, but it's plausible. Vice presidents accumulate a lot of boxes. Then he said 4 times that Biden took boxes to Chinatown. What on earth does this mean? Ex-Vice President Biden stored some boxes in Washington, D.C.'s Chinatown neighborhood. Oh my God, Chinatown. A neighborhood crawling with ... Chinese ... stuff! Exclamation point. Though, in parentheses, though, to be honest, Washington's present-day Chinatown is a pale version of its heyday. I love a good Chinatown. Oh, we used to go there when we were kids in Chicago. I had no idea what I was looking at, but it was just like awesome. It was so much fun. I might get Chinese food tonight. What a racist buffoon playing to other racist buffoons. Yes, it's so simplistic. Just saying the word China is just pings, that little notifications dopamine ping that I get from making a video that some other guy came up with an idea for on Twitter. And they're getting that from when he says China. I mean, it's not the same. Trump was awful at this town hall, but CNN was worse. Not its journalists, they tried. Rather, it was the network's ostensible leadership who failed to demonstrate that they are responsible stewards of the public trust. Though whoever made the decision to pull the plug on this vomit 20 minutes early perhaps should be in line for a promotion, if only because they brought this embarrassing night for CNN journalism in America to a halt. And yet somewhere, Licht and Zaslav are probably smiling. Yeah, probably. I doubt the overall effect of that of the Trump thing was that it's going to like make him president, as if you could just remove this one event and he wouldn't become president next. It's fucking crazy that he's allowed to run. It is really nuts that you get to incite a violent coup, and we're just like, well, we need you. We need you. We're not gonna. You get to do. We get to do that again. We don't have any other options here. Like, it's crazy. It's nuts. It's bonkers. They're putting people in prison for a long time. I mean, I think that's another thing that's funny. The right wingers are whining about is some of the prison conditions that some of the January 6 people are in, and they're in like nicer prisons too. And meanwhile, you got Rikers, you got this mass incarceration system, legalized slavery happening, millions of slaves in American prisons making profits for corporations, and utter depravity of conditions, and the police and the prison cultures that are prison guard culture. The unions that defend those are not at all they're the worst of all types of unions. I don't consider them part of the labor movement. They're just using the concept of unions to sustain the violence that's required for a white supremacy capitalism nation to flourish. But they're whining because they don't get this, the nicer prisons that some of them are in aren't as nice to them. So it's as if any of them are going to turn into advocates for prison reform or prison abolition. I did find the response to this, though, a little ridiculous. I thought it was weird how everybody was just like, we're going to watch Anderson Cooper talk about it here in a second here. But everybody's acting all disappointed, as if like American journalism has ever served the people the way they need. Are there ebbs and flows that could probably be tracked in terms of whether Americans are receiving accurate knowledge or what you'd call journalism? Yeah, sure. I'm sure there are. And in a perfect system, I don't think you can actually really, because bias is inherent in editorial decision making. If whatever you decide to do, I'm biased. What I choose to put on this stupid little podcast I'm trying is very much a bias, a reflection of my bias. I like to think of myself as a nuance bro, so I try to like keep it real, keep it 100, but and acknowledge that there's always exceptions and stuff. And I actually am very uncomfortable with confidence when people are super declarative about things. I try to traffic in probabilities and in healthy skepticism and stuff. But I mean, obviously, sometimes I come off a little bit too confident, I imagine. But it was just weird being like, oh, this is terrible. What are they? As if it wasn't always like, as it hasn't been failing the people. Look what course we're on. Look, we just had 4 years of Donald Trump. Joe Biden's our fucking president. Another piece of shit. The kinds of people who we elevate, who this guy Anderson Cooper certainly is a major scion of, they're all part of the problem. And the internet and has lowered the barriers to entry, but of course we have for-profit social media, and we have they're trying to take away net neutrality. And I'm actually not. I think the status of that is, I know that there was a major fight over that a few years back, and I think net neutrality is still, Verizon's not allowed to lower my website speed because I'm not paying them enough. I think that's still a thing. But I don't know the status in terms of how long that's going to last or whether that's going to get overturned. But they want to control your information, because controlling photons, controlling sound waves, controlling your access to the things that educate you or miseducate you is a part of how they've always controlled societies and controlled shaped the way people think. And so we have to eliminate or eliminate the concentration of wealth, the monopolies that run the media businesses. The 6 companies control something like 90% of what people see and hear. The fact that we tolerate Rupert Murdoch on the planet, causing all kinds of chaos. I know he does a lot of terrible shit with English newspapers and television stations. And so I found the response to the I mostly was picking it up off of Twitter and a little bit off of some podcasts that I listen to as well. But like, what are you comparing it to? That they put Trump on a show? He's a major figure, whether we like it or not. I think it's absurd. I think you could make a case he doesn't belong on the air because of the coup. That seems reasonable to me. Fuck you. You tried to overthrow democracy. Fuck you. You don't get airtime now. That's over. And it actually, this is also a valid criticism, is that he had just been found liable for sexual abuse, for violating a woman, for E. Jean Carroll, and found a judgment against him for $5 million. And that should have been the entire focus. And the only way you can really handle someone like Trump is just to stick to the first lie he says and go over and over and over and over, and never let him move on. The way Kaitlan Collins, that's the host or the CNN employee, I almost said journalist, who did the thing. I think she tried, but she has a background in like right-wing bullshit. And actually, let's jump ahead here to her. I have not seen this yet. We'll get back to the Anderson Cooper thing. But I know that people were sharing stuff about how one of the things she wrote for the Daily Caller, this right-wing rag, and he was and she did an article at that time of like refugees from Syria who were hot, like guys that she thought were hot, like something like that, like top 10. Oh my God, they're hunks, but it's not appropriate in any stretch. So she comes from the fever swamps of right-wing stuff, and I guess they're going to give her like an evening show. I mean, I don't know. I don't really care that much about what's on CNN and stuff. I'm doing a podcast about it, so obviously I care a little bit, but it's like, it's not like, okay, CNN shouldn't have done that, I guess, but it's not like it was a sudden departure for the way journalism in this country works. They just want people to buy pharmaceutical products during the commercials, or to go to their doctor the next day and be like, oh, I'd like to get my psoriasis, my toe fungus needs the pill that the guy was smiling. That give me the pill, and then the doctor gives them, and then they all go golfing. So here's Kaitlan Collins. Let's see what she says. This is retweeted by, or this is posted by Majority Report, Majority FM on Twitter. It's a show I like. I like Sam Cedar. I like him a lot. I actually would like to have him on my show, and we could talk woodworking. So that shit back there, that's all woodworking stuff. Here we go.
Do with the immigration crisis. Good morning. Okay, so George Soros is this foreign-born left-wing guy who essentially wants to change the nature of our country. And in this
The first voice you heard was Steve Ducey, that smooth-brained blonde guy. A blonde man? A blonde adult? Fuck off. Okay, get out of here. I don't trust him. Blonde guy in his 50s. No. She's on Fox News.
data dump, one of the memos was about the refugee crisis, and they made 3 points. They think that they've been successful at influencing immigration policy across the world. They think that the refugee crisis is an opportunity to continue doing so, and they think the refugee crisis is the new normal. And George Soros is this guy who is a staunch advocate for open borders. He wants people to be able to go.
The phrase Soros has become the stand-in for Jewish people, for Jews. This is dangerous talk. This is right-wing fascism. It's straight up. I mean, you hear it all the time, and they're very comfortable saying it, and you hear it in all sorts of ways. It's absurd. It's a great argument against why all billionaires should be defanged, why all billionaires should be eliminated through taxes, not physically or violently, but like the way we permit these concentrations of wealth that form like gravitational bodies that then start to warp space and time around them. It's far more power than any one human should ever be allowed to have. They aren't accountable. You get these freaks like Elon Musk causing all kinds of chaos, spreading his bullshit. My Twitter feed on my phone, I don't have the app, but I'm going to sign in through the website. It's been showing Twitter Space audio stuff. So like you get to the top and it's like they're going to be able to signal boost Tucker Carlson. They're hiring some right-wing lady who was actually I think she was an MSNBC Universal CEO, but she's got right-wing tendencies or something. And there's been some stuff I've seen about that. So Twitter, I think they're making a play to turn it into like a major video platform. Although the video players on Twitter actually quite stink. It's better on my desktop computer here than on my phone. The phone video player is always brutal. Let's just finish this. There's only a few seconds.
Wherever they want, whenever they want, for whatever reason. And for him, who's a staunch advocate for open borders, he wants people to be able to go wherever they want, whenever they want, for whatever reason. And for him, he sees this immigration policy, this crisis, as a vehicle to further his immigration agenda.
So that's Kaitlan Collins on CNN. I mean, this is on Fox News, but she's now the CNN lady. She's the one who interviewed Trump and tried to hold him to account. So
the immigration crisis.
Good morning. Okay, so George Soros is.
Good morning. So George Soros, like that's really bad. That's like anybody who I hear use the phrase George Soros, unless it's like you're describing this sort of thing, like I am. I mean, obviously there's exceptions, but this kind of usage is just like information I receive as to not respect that person. That person is no longer someone who I'm going to consider is taking in politics, or that's not someone whose analysis, or at least at the very least, I'll be highly, highly, highly suspicious of it. And I always give room for people to grow out of it. I guess that's fine. Nope, that's Giuliani's pee-pee. Okay, now here, let's Anderson sort of answering the criticisms at CNN. CNN did receive a lot of criticisms. This is from Colin Rugg with 2 G's, Colin with 2 L's. It's a 2-minute, 15-second video. I have not watched this yet. I have heard of the silo comment, but let's just see. Here's Anderson Cooper. It's actually short for Anderson Cooper Super Duper Pooper Scooper, by the way. So that's his full name. He's like from a really rich family. They're weird with names.
Many of you have expressed deep anger and disappointment. Many of you are upset that someone who attempted to destroy our democracy was invited to sit on a stage in front of a crowd of Republican voters to answer questions.
Attempted to destroy our democracy, was given millions and millions of dollars of free airtime,
and predictably continued to spew lie after lie after lie. And I get it. It was disturbing. It was disturbing to see and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer as a thug, an adjective he used many times to describe black men, and call Kaitlan Collins, the moderator, nasty, which is what he calls any woman who's
to make jokes and laugh about the woman he raped. And everybody in his audience of flapping seals all applauded and cheered for it.
Stands up to him. It was disturbing to hear him speak so highly of QAnon conspirators and insurrectionists who who assaulted police officers in our democracy on January 6th. And it was awful to hear him spread ridiculous lies about the election. And it was certainly disturbing to hear that audience, young and old, our fellow citizens, people who love their kids and go to church, laugh and applaud his lies and his continued defamation of a woman who, according to a jury of...
How does he know that they love their kids? Safe assumption they go to church. Giving Donald Trump nuclear weapons is not what I would call an act of love. I'm not trying to question whether, I'm sure they would get mad at me for suggesting. I'm not saying they don't love their kids. It's just that's like a weird politician mode. They love their kids. They go to church. They eat at diners. They drive a truck. They fear God. I like the God fearing. That's always one of those ones I was like, wait, you're supposed to be afraid of it? What?
His peers, he's sexually abused and defamed.
Back up a little.
And his continued defamation of a woman who, according to a jury of his peers, he's sexually abused and defamed. As good a job as Kaitlan Collins did trying to fact check him, it is impossible to fact check fully because he lies so shamelessly. Now, many of you think CNN shouldn't have given him any platform to speak, and I understand the anger about that, giving him the audience, the time, I get that. But this is what I also get. The man you were so disturbed to see and hear from last night, that man is the front runner for the Republican nomination for president. And according to polling, no other Republican is even close. That man you were so upset to hear from last night, he may be president of the United States in less than 2 years. And that audience that upset you, that's a sampling of about half the country. They are your family members, your neighbors, and they are voting. And many said they're voting for him.
And places like CNN have failed them for decades.
Yeah. Now, maybe you haven't been paying attention to him since he left office. Maybe you've been enjoying not hearing from him, thinking it can't happen again. Some investigation is going to stop him. Well, it hasn't so far. So if last night showed anything, it showed it can happen again. It is happening again. He hasn't changed, and he is running hard. You have every right to be outraged today and angry and never watch this network again. But do you think staying in your silo and only listening to people you agree with is going to make that person go away?
He's catching most of the heat for that last comment. I haven't seen this before, but yeah, I mean, most of that's fairly like reasonable in this absurdity of all of it that they, you know, but like let's listen to this last bit again.
You have every right to be outraged today and angry and never watch this network again. But do you think staying in your silo and only listening to people you agree with is going to make that person go away?
He's not going to go away if you stay in your silo. You think staying in it's your fault. You got to open up your silo. Let the world's greatest con man, fascist aspiring dictator freak person into your ears through the medium of television and internet, cable news. And that way he might go away, because it is happening again, Anderson Cooper says. Yeah, it's happening because media companies are going to make the exact same cash grab for the pharmaceutical and the catheter tip dollars that they got during the 2016 election. You know, the editorial decision making of CNN at that time was arguably better than now, and it was horrible. And now that they have this Licht guy, it's going to be even worse because he's a right winger. You know, or at least he seems to be pushing CNN in that direction for sure. Hiring the George Soros fearing Kaitlan Collins, for instance. She did try to fact check him, I guess. I mean, but she kept moving on. She would make a thing and then go, but we got to move on. Why do you got to move on? What do you got to move on for? It just, yeah. But the whole thing is just like spell casting. It's all just bamboozling you and trying to make you feel crazy. So, you know, yeah, I don't have a great answer for that. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Joy is rebellion. Turn it off. Don't watch this shit. Read books. I'm trying to read books. I almost plugged in my Kindle the other day, but it's at 40%, so I didn't feel like it. Yeah, I did finish a book already this year, and I started a couple up more, and I need to finish another. I need to get back to reading. I'm trying that. To rebel, to not, I don't watch CNN. I don't know. I mean, I see stuff on, of course, it comes across the different shows I watch and stuff. And occasional YouTube videos or whatever. Yeah, so appreciate the lecture there, Anderson Cooper, super duper pooper scooper. Not the most impressive performance, I'd say. lecturing people that as if our need to experience Trump, as if we haven't had our fill. I hated fucking Trump. I just had this visceral. I was bullied. I hate bullies. I think bullies need to have their, things need to. YouTube has terms of service of stuff I'm not allowed to say, but I am for standing up to bullies, but I get this visceral feeling when I see Trump. Also, when I worked at the Young Turks, I would get into I did a lot of photoshopping his face, like really close, just like making thumbnails and stuff. Which is kind of, I don't know. Yeah, it's Trump is like this like ogreous, not a word, presence in this culture, and also representative of everything America has ever stood for. Is he's like the absolute worst parts of America all boiled into this one person. There's something very unique about that. It is weird that Ron DeSantis is even flirting with running. Just wait it out. I mean, I don't know. I think if Trump wins, he'll make a play for a dictatorship. He's going to probably cancel another election and make himself install himself, or manipulate the elections to a degree where it is just like a faux democracy dictatorship. Right now, we're a faux democracy. But like, if you're trying, DeSantis is in his 40s, just fucking chill out, man. Back on. Like, what's I don't know. Not that I'm trying to give DeSantis advice, but that always strikes me as strange. Yeah, real quick, let me just type up this New Republic thing. So yeah, I just referenced this, the article that I was quoted in for the union busting at the Young Turks. I'm not going to do a whole thing right now, although it has occurred to me, and leave a comment if you'd like to see this, or send me a message or something on Patreon. I thought about doing like, there's 4 articles that were written during that union busting time period. And since I helped start that union, I have a very unique perspective on this. I'm an original source for information about it. It is something that I do think deserves more attention, because no one's ever called Cenk out for union busting. No one's ever asked him about it. He's never been. I mean, people on Twitter will leave comments and on YouTube and stuff, but no one's ever talked to him. I think Nina Turner should. I think Nina Turner, who is claims to be progressive and is a big defender of workers and stuff, if she really meant that, she might defend the workers who make her career work, because she's an employee of Cenk. He's her boss. She does a show called Unbossed. So she should confront him about it. But anyway, so yeah, this is the article by Kim Kelly that I was in. There's some quotes in here. We're not gonna get all into this. Yeah, here we go. This is Thompson. Here she writes, Thompson recalls conversations about the IATSE drive beginning 3 or 4 months before Uyghur announced his candidacy. So they had said that they didn't say this directly, precisely, but they twice, or at least in 2 of these articles, it's referred to as a conspiracy. But the TYT, the company, Cenk, and Anna all kind of insinuated that this was like a effort sourcing from the Democratic Party, that this was an op by Nancy Pelosi and IATSE and Christy Smith, who was Cenk's opponent. He was running for Congress at the time, in case you don't remember that. He was running for fucking Congress. I think it's actually fascinating, setting aside my own personal connections to this. It's how often does someone running for Congress bust a union, do union busting? Like, that's really rare. I don't think that really happens. I imagine it has, but like, that's a very unique situation, especially like a progressive who is revealing themselves to be a complete hypocrite when it comes to workers' rights. But yeah, here's what Thompson recalls conversations about the IATSE drive beginning 3 or 4 months before Uyghur announced his candidacy, and a current employee, new sentence, and a current employee who asked to remain anonymous due to worries about retaliation, notes that the present unionizing effort is far from the first among TYT workers. The announcement, this worker said, followed the natural timeline of the organizing process. That TYT workers would unionize eventually seemed inevitable. I couldn't think of what that's called. As Thompson said, I'll read it in the voice of the guy who said this. TYT is staffed by liberals, progressives, and lefties. Of course the notion of organizing to demand better would come up. I screwed it up. Who did Cenk think would come work for him? Mic drop? No, it's not a mic drop. I mean, by the way, just to defend TYT, they don't have a ideological test for who works for them. You know, I think they would hire someone who had conservative beliefs. But there's a filtering system. There's a way that filters, right? Like Ben Shapiro's staff is unlikely to be liberals, progressives, and lefties, in the exact same way that the Young Turks staff is unlikely to be conservatives and Nazis. So, yeah, it's yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's just we're reading a New Republic article, but maybe someday I'll do a whole thing where we go through all these articles. I actually think that would be kind of interesting, since I was there and I was part of it. Although I got fired before the union came forward, so I didn't make it into the MPEG Motion Picture Editors Guild 700. Man, that would have been fun. I could have gotten a cool union jacket. I could have stood around and said, "Nope, nope, against union rules." Gabagoo. I love Tony Soprano. What am I doing? All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We did it. We made it happen. You were fucking awesome. Honestly, I have never experienced an audience as great as you were. Your listening was amazing. You looked at all the right things. You moved your mouse around a little bit, but that's okay. Keeps the blood flowing. So I'm just going to say that. You did great. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of peace and rest. And join me in my mission to convert the work cult, this planet Earth work cult, into a relaxation cult. That's the best we can hope for. We're never going to do optimum human society. At least we can, but we got a lot of these old terrible thinkings preventing that. But we could at least maybe switch to relaxation cults, where we are all just freaks about calming down instead of freaks about calming up, about working all the time, because none of us would choose to work all the fucking time like this. Nobody. That's why the capitalists don't let you vote. They tell us that capitalism is the best system, that capitalism is best for everybody, that everybody benefits from capitalism, right? That's the idea. There is no better system. If that were true, and you said, well, let me have a decision, let me vote on it, they would let you vote. They would invite democracy, shared decision-making, shared responsibility of those decisions, accountable leadership. They would invite your power, because you would, of course, vote for capitalism because it would be in your best interest. But they don't invite it. They fight it. They bust unions like Cenk Uygur did. They bust unions like Howard Schultz and Jeff Bezos and all the other union busters. No Evil Foods, another hypocritical company. They fight it because they know that it's a scam. You would vote for what's best for you, wouldn't you? And they say capitalism is what's best for you. But they use their access to government violence via the mechanism of ownership to prevent you from having your full humanity even available in any aspiring way, let alone all the childhood trauma you all had to get over. All right, that's okay. That's sort of just the greatest hits right there. Fucking this goddamn thing. It's all bent up. The string. I've been in this shit for 10 plus years and I still call the cords strings. It bends. I gotta bend it down. I have a bolt in there, but I gotta get a fat bolt. The bolt's just not thick enough to hold it, to prevent it from. Okay. Well, I got a text. My roommate has an Evil Dead movie, I guess. So that's going to be kind of interesting. I'd like to talk about that. Check out the gaming stuff. I'm highly skeptical that this audience that's finding this might want that, but maybe so. I do some rambling. I mean, it's that kind of podcast I do while gaming. I've been playing Valheim. I fucking love that game. I just enjoy the building of it. I'm a very 3D spatial brain, so check that out. I got a new video I recorded last Friday that I haven't yet edited. Like and subscribe or if you're not already, but also if you do feel like helping, patreon.com/winnerslosers is a great source. Or just go there. I'm posting everything I post from SuckProfessor. That's like my old gaming and like a kind of a video TV show discussion channel that my roommate and I used to do. That actually has like 7,000 subscribers. Everything I put on there, everything I put on Winners and Losers. I do want to start making the tutorial videos. I have a bunch of ideas. And Bum Rush Industries, the woodworking project. All of your support will help me on all the various projects. Plus, I have some other like projects that are pretty big that I know that you're going to be glad you were there for the launch of. I'm pretty sure there's that I can say that with confidence. But as well as gaming stuff, man, I really want to do gaming stuff. I had a bigger comment there I was just about to make about that, but Yeah. So I'm using the Patreon, just the public posts. You don't have to give me any money, just to see what I've done. So if you've missed out on something, or you want to get back on to see what the stuff I've put out, go to patreon.com/winners and losers. You don't even have to don't worry about the money part. Of course, I'm hoping you do, but it's also just sort of a list of everything that I'm posting, kind of like a blog, I guess. And I write some little comments out and stuff. But another way to help, if you do want to do something, is leave reviews. That's also helpful. Or if you have already seen the podcast on YouTube, go to the clips I post and just hit the like button and let it play. Or don't let it play, but also hit the like button or something. That helps. It does help. Every little like helps. You know, it's not that big a deal if you don't. It's fine. That's on the whole, as a channel gets much bigger, as grows, it's like that kind of thing is going to be nominal. So, but just at this point, it sort of is kind of helpful because there's only so much thrust in this rocket ship right now, and it's that's what I'm asking you to do. Okay, bye. Oh, the shrimp went to sleep. All right, good night. Bye. See you later. Wake up, fucking shrimp.